Coach Mac here, and today we're going to be breaking down this video, shares the truth about Marvel Rivals matchmaking.
My name is Corvina. I've been playing in tournaments in a lot of different games, won some of them. For the most part, have played in the
saying he's a sweat
with most games. So I kind of know a little bit about what I'm talking about here.
Validate.
Let me also say that I think Marvel Rivals is an excellent game. There is something going on in the back end that people are probably not aware of.
There's something going on in the back end. We know that.
You may have heard theories about it, but you probably haven't seen any hard proof. And before everybody tells me skill diff or take my meds or conspiracy theory or this guy's got a tin hat on, although that is funny, unfortunately that's not going to be applicable here. And I'm going to show you why. So
yeah, you in the comments. We want productive comments only. This is Coach Mac, expert, certified coach.
Recorded this video a couple different times. I'm going to tell you right now, the video is probably going to be around 30 minutes. I understand that a lot of people have the attention span of a goldfish from watching TikTok shorts and YouTube shorts.
Wow,
but
goldfish.
I promise you,
that's what he thinks about
us. Watch the
us.
whole video. It's going to be worth it because knowledge is power, and I'm going.
Knowledge is power.
Going to give you some power. So we're going to go over what we're going to discuss right here. Also, I do stream on Twitch. I'll link that down below. All my
we stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/MacAssault.
Let's go over what we're going to discuss, right? So I don't want this video to get censored or shadow banned. So I'm going to leave certain keywords out, but we're going to discuss this right here, which is a match.
Wait, what keywords is he leaving out to avoid getting shadow banned? I'm going to have to speak with my board of trustees to figure that one out.
Matchmaking system. We're going to discuss SBMM, which is skill-based matchmaking, MMR, which is matchmaking rating. We're going to discuss online machine learning, offline machine learning, satisfaction, engagement, churn rate, free-to-play models and how they generate revenue, psychology when it comes to the gaming industry, censorship, and most importantly, how to break the matrix. Yes. I'm going to free you. I'm going to give you the power. You're going to be able to unplug yourself, all right?
A little blue pill or red pill?
Let's start here. This is my match history, okay? This is competitive. Every single one of these games is competitive. I did not take a break in between these games, with the exception of me losing all these games and then me closing the game and taking a break. I don't know if it was for a couple hours. I don't know if I played the next day, next morning. I can't remember, but it was a pretty significant break. When I came back, I experienced it.
Okay, he does realize that it shows the dates underneath the time that the match took, so he could check that, but whatever.
Which is all wins. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that's just RNG, that's just coincidence. Well, I'm going to prove otherwise. So what you're looking at is what's called a fixed coin flip. It is a forced 50% win, 50% loss. It will not always be 100% accurate. You will not always come out right to 50%, but
coin flip. Chat, answer now. What is the probability of heads and the probability of tails when you flip a coin? We're asking the hard questions here.
Back-end systems that are being used are trying to force you towards this, and I will explain why, okay? All right. The first thing we're going to move on to is this right here. This is a patent by Activision, which is for EOMM, or Engagement Optimized Matchmaking. This came out in 2000.
Activision, chat. We've heard of them before. Big Call of Duty player. I'm not sure how this correlates. Let's find out.
18. You can Google this if you want to look at this. So this is what we're going off of. We're going to cover a couple different terminologies as well. But firstly, we're going to go over this. So what is this? This is a document from NetEase Incorporated. And if we do this simply, who makes Marvel Rivals? NetEase Games, okay? So the people that are putting out this game, the company, the developers, whatever, publisher, whatever you want to call it, this is them, all right? And these names you're going to find on this.
This is them.
Other document, which I'm going to show you after. But just to skim over this quickly, so this is NMatch, matchmaking for better player engagement via neural combinatorial optimization. And to give you an example, one of the names, keep that in mind. So if I pulled up this PDF file here, which is from NetEase, you're going to find Runze Wu on here. Some of the other names are on here. Some
Runze Wu
of them aren't. They're all affiliated with NetEase Incorporated. This is coming out of a university in China, okay? And one of the names I want you to pay attention to right here, the first one on the paper is Linxia Gong, okay? Why is this important? So we're going to go to GDC Vault. This right here is Linxia Gong, the speaker representing the company NetEase. It's a design format, and it's labeled as "Find the Right Match, AI-Enhanced Matchmaking Practice in NetEase Games."
I mean, that title of the session name right there, that's a little sus. That's a red flag.
This is the practice that they use in NetEase games, okay? I'm just going to read this very quickly. I want to try and keep the video short. So, overview. Matchmaking is crucial for player satisfaction in the online player versus player games. Many factors should be considered in a matchmaking system design, such as waiting time in the matchmaking queue, network latency. So those two are obvious, right?
Obvious.
Skill gaps, defeat streaks, aka losers brackets, etc. We present the findings and algorithms of our matchmaking practice in NetEase games about how to model the effects of those factors and optimize the gross player's utility, it's another term, in the assignment of process. Win patterns, yes, I'll say it again, win patterns, the factors that influence the victory in a match, the factors that influence the victory in a match. In the algorithms, I'm going to say it again, the algorithms that incorporate those factors during the application of machine learning. The application of machine learning. Churn patterns. I'm going to say it again. Churn patterns. There's a reason why I'm doing this. The factors that influence the player's churn after this matchmaking proposal, and the tricks. I'm going to say it again. The tricks. I'm going to say this one more time. Extra emphasis. The tricks.
Let me go ahead and say it as well. The tricks.
To optimize the matchmaking process, okay? Moving on, we're going to cover a couple different terms so that you guys know what's being talked about because it's a little bit confusing. So what is churn rate in the gaming industry? Churn rate in the context of the gaming industry refers to the percentage of players who discontinue playing a game within a given time frame. It is calculated by dividing the number of players who leave by the total number of players remaining, okay? So in layman terms, churn rate is when you close the game and stop spending money. That is the churn rate in layman terms, okay? When you get frustrated.
Layman terms.
Enough to say, F this, I'm closing the game, I'm not spending money. Excuse me. I'm drinking a Ghost Energy right now. And you're done, okay? So we've covered that. Now we're going to cover what is player satisfaction in the gaming industry. This one is kind of self-explanatory. We're going to cover it anyways. Player satisfaction in the gaming industry refers to the level of contentment experienced by players when interacting with an online gaming platform. It goes beyond simply winning or losing. That's important. With an online, it goes beyond simply winning or losing and encompasses various elements including game design, customer service, fairness, and transparency, okay? Two things you're going to find in this video that actually do not exist in competitive. A satisfied player feels valued, which after this video you probably won't, engaged, and entertained throughout their gaming experience, all right? The last
A good coach knows how to value his players.
term that we're going to cover is what is online machine learning and what is offline machine learning. Online machine learning is a type of machine learning where data is acquired sequentially and is utilized to update the best predictor for future data, okay? This is a prediction thing. This is online planning, predicting outcomes, okay? What is offline machine learning? While online learning does have its uses, traditional machine learning is performed by offline using the batch learning method. So basically, this is kind of the same thing, except this doesn't require an internet connection. This can be done offline through a batching system. Example, when you close the game and why you close the game while you're no longer playing, okay? Moving on. This right here is a NetEase churn rate. This is recent matches versus churn rate, aka when people stop playing and quit because they're frustrated. And at the bottom here, you're going to see some win-lose patterns. Keep that in mind. These are patterns. Make a higher churn rate, okay? So certain patterns of wins and losses in different sequences make people respond to that in a different way, whether they're satisfied or frustrated, whether they keep playing or not, or whether they close the game, which all ties back into whether or not they're going to invest money into the game because they are invested into their character. They are invested into playing the game, right? After experiencing certain win-lose patterns, players are more sensitive to match duration. So to sum this up, there's a sweet spot. That sweet spot is 50% win-loss. The reason for that...
50%. Can anyone remember what were we talking about earlier that had 50%? Connect the dots here, okay? Put the breadcrumbs together.
Is based on all the data they've collected psychologically. If you win every game, the game becomes too easy. You lose interest. There's no challenge. That makes sense. If you make no progress and you lose every game, well, why are you going to want to keep playing, let alone spend money? You're going to think the game is garbage. You're not having fun. I don't really feel like I need to explain this to you guys. I feel like you guys are tracking so far. These are all the different
We're tracking so far.
sequences that they've used and the different responses that they've gotten from those sequences of wins and losses. We're going to touch up on this, and then we're going to get into the PDF file. So this right here is important because this is their customized rule set that they use. Supposedly, this is what NetEase uses as a customized rule set. What they discuss here is multi-aspect considerations of balance. So this includes network latency, psychological effects, example, consecutive defeats or losers brackets, interpersonal interplay, example, social relationship and team-up effects. They talk about multi-dimensional capability assessment, which is real-time capture of players' capability from various perspectives. So this is real-time learning and adjustments using AI machine learning. Malicious behavior control. This one's an interesting one because, you know, the first thing you see is detection and punishment against cheating, which you would expect, and that's a good thing, right? But then you see piggybacking, which I would assume is probably a form of what's called boosting, power leveling, and smurfing, etc. So you actually are considered malicious if you are smurfing. The reason why I would think that's a thing is because these AI systems gather your data, and when you smurf, you're providing a bad set of data, which therefore kind of breaks the algorithm, okay?
I mean, dude, so many people have smurfed in so many games. I don't know that you really can do anything about smurfing, or I don't think I've ever seen anything happen about smurfing. I mean, we played some smurfs over our grind to Grandmaster, which we're currently in. So, yeah, I don't know about that.
So that's not good. They don't want that. Matchmaking algorithms arranges queuing players into competitions to maximize the player's satisfaction. There's that maximizing your satisfaction again. Got to keep them happy. Got to keep you spending.
Coach says, always important to maximize satisfaction, especially with a woman.
Spending money. This is where it gets weird. Assign robots of suitable strength if needed. So adding AI to the game that you may or may not be able to detect of suitable strength if needed. Because obviously adding AI to the game makes algorithms work a lot better, as human beings can be quite unpredictable when it comes to, well, everything, but specifically playing video games. There's a lot of factors. You know, is somebody tired? Did they have a bad day? Are they stressed out? Is their wife yelling at them? Is their kid crying? Are they drunk? Are they tired? Do they have a Zyn pouch in? Are they drinking a Ghost Energy? Yada, 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 okay? Lastly, we're going to talk about integrative measure of competition quality. This evaluates player satisfaction and user engagement. There's that engagement word again, that little buzzword. Through competition simulation.
Buzzword.
Simulation and win prediction. Win prediction. Churn analysis, and assign selective teammates and adversaries for each player. So this one I'm going to say, again, I'm going to repeat it, but I'm going to say it very slowly.
Okay, good, so I can understand.
Assign selective teammates and adversaries for each player. Okay.
Yeah, that obviously doesn't sound great.
Now that we've covered all of that, you can find this document on the NetEase website. You can simply search on Google NetEase Marvel Rivals matchmaking documents. This will come up. It's directly off the NetEase website. So, again, coming out of a university in China, it's for NetEase. It's on their website. These are the names that we've already covered. So they're abstract. Their opening statement is, matchmaking is a core problem for the esports and online games, which determines the player's satisfaction and further influence the life cycle of the gaming products. So right off the rip, their opening statement is that the core problem of all video games is the matchmaking system, which means they're not happy with it. And that directly determines whether or not a player is frustrated or satisfied, happy playing the game, which directly correlates to them spending money in the game. Well, why is that important? This is a free-to-play model, as most games are nowadays. The only way these companies generate revenues that they can then afford to pay salaries for and become profitable as a business is through microtransactions. What are microtransactions? You probably already know. It's buying the battle pass. It's buying currency. It's buying skins, right? All of that stuff is fine on its own if it's optional. This is not the case. So most of the matchmaking systems take the form of grouping the queuing players into two opposing teams by following certain rules or a rule set, which we just discussed what their rule set is. The design and implementation of matchmaking systems are usually product specific and labor intensive, okay?
basically what he's doing is he's acknowledging that these companies are businesses and they need to make money, which is totally fair. They are. So you can do that with microtransactions and getting people to stay on the game. The problem is you don't want to do what COD did, which is warp you into this like exact file, right? Where it's like you have to go down this path of just like playing people of this skill. These guys, it sounds like, are just trying to make you stay on the game by making you not just always win or always lose by keeping it 50-50, which probably does keep you on the game longer, which then gets them more money. But obviously people notice that and don't like it, right? We've kind of seen the BS of it.
This paper proposes a two-stage data-driven matchmaking framework, namely off-match, or EOMM, which is engagement optimized matchmaking, which is what they're not telling you is being used. Okay? That's what Activision patented in like 2018. The goal of that patent was to drive
Activision.
players to spend money through using psychological tactics and manipulation and predatory tactics to get people to spend money on the game. That's what that patent was. Okay? So, so moving on, which is applicable to most of gaming products and has the least knowledge about the product required. Off-match contains an offline learning stage and an online planning stage. So those are the two data-driven matchmaking methods that they're using, which is detecting how happy or how frustrated you are, basically detecting when you're going to close the game, because once you close the game, you can no longer use the store. So the purpose of this matchmaking system is to keep you playing. That is the goal. That is the only thing that matters. That is the core problem. We need to keep people playing because if they don't play, they're not spending money. We're a free-to-play game. We need to generate revenue. Are you guys tracking so far? All right, moving on.
Right. Basically, that's part of the problem with the free-to-play model is that they have to focus on getting you to spend money in the game, which means keeping you on the game, as opposed to just providing the best quality product because you've already spent the money.
So yeah, it uses a neural network model to incorporate the team-up effect and predict match outcomes. Predict the match outcomes. So this is being done before you enter a game. When you click the queue up for competitive button where there's supposed to be competitive integrity, it's supposed to be a merit of skill versus skill, 6 versus 6, totally random. Well, it's not. It's not random. In fact, it's heavily calculated by advanced AI systems and algorithms. Okay? The online planning stage optimizes the gross player's utilities, example satisfaction, during the matchmaking process by leveraging the learned representations and prediction model. Okay?
All right, now we're starting to get into some actual juice here. This is like a little bit more impactful and clear what's going on. So none of this is really surprising to us, which is part of the reason why we're doing this video, which basically what you're seeing is before the match starts, the company, the developers, have a pretty good idea of who's going to win or lose. And that's why when we get into a game, I will make the winner's queue and the loser's queue joke, even though it's not a perfect system because you're not winning every time you're in winner's queue and you're not losing every time you're in loser's queue. It's generally has that feel. But also what stands out even more is like we are noticing right from the start whether our team is good or not. And it's usually pretty easy to tell. Sure, there's some variation, but it is usually pretty easy to tell. And this sort of confirms that we were right in thinking that.
Okay. I'm not gonna read all this. We're gonna jump ahead. You guys can read this on your own if you want. I'm just gonna point out a couple important things. We're gonna talk about matchmaking. So this is the offline learning, the online planning that gets done through the AI system. We define the matchmaking into 2 stages: the offline learning stage to learn the patterns from past matches, and online planning stage to optimize the player's satisfaction for future matches. Their main goal is to keep you happy. Happy people spend money. Happy people keep the game open. Okay. This is player utility. This is a formula that I don't think anybody's gonna understand. At least not myself. The player utility refers to a quantitative measure of a player's satisfaction gained from a match. For example, the reverse of a churn risk for this player after a certain match. This requires the matchmaking system to pick the right teammates and good opponents for as many players as possible, to hand select your teammates and your opponents while also keeping you happy and spending money and not closing the game, okay?
I mean, yeah, if they're hand selecting your teammates, it's pretty clear there that something's going on. If not, it should just be random, right? Well, not exactly random. It should be region-based, lag, rank-based, etc. But random within those parameters.
We're gonna jump forward. This is talking about game outcome. I'm not gonna read all this. This is the +1, -1 system, which is basically the +3, -3 system. So what this is a hidden MMR system. So in layman terms,
hidden MMR. Whenever you hear that, you just roll your eyes because that's in COD 2, and it's like, why do we need a hidden MMR? Just show me what my MMR is and let me rank up or rank down based on that. No need to hide it.
If you're Diamond 1, that is a cosmetic illusion rank that actually means nothing. All of your data is being collected, how much you move around, what patterns you use to 80 strafe, how many headshots you hit, how many body shots you hit, how many shots you miss overall, how many skill shots you land, how fast you get your ultimate, how fast you use your ultimate, your deaths per 10 minutes, your kills per 10 minutes, your KDA. Apparently, I don't have any data for this, but apparently how much money you spend as well. And
so another problem with this, beyond the obvious, is that it doesn't encourage, and I think this is where Call of Duty sort of went wrong, is like, you're not really able to like play casually too, right? Or maybe, so like maybe that's more akin to like multiplayer, where in multiplayer COD you get different SR based on like performance. It's not just like you get this for a win and this for a loss like it is in Warzone. I think Warzone actually has that going for it, where you know what the SR you're going to gain is because it's clear how many points it is for everything. So there's no variation there. With like multiplayer or this, it's like, oh, well, my hidden MMR went down a little bit because I went to pubs and I played a new hero and like fucked around. So it's like, dangerous.
what skin you're wearing and what heroes you're playing. The reason for that is if they put you into a game where you guys all have skins and you absolutely dumpster and manhandle the enemy team and they're new to the game and they don't have skins, they're going to go, those guys had those skins and they absolutely destroyed us. Maybe I need to buy some skins. That's actually the psychological aspect of it, believe it or not. Okay? This is part of the patent. This is a formula for wins and losses. I'm just going to read this really quick. So this is talking about the -3 +3 system. So to go into a little bit more detail actually on this, let's say, for example, I'll use Sinatra. Well, we'll use Overwatch as an example, and we'll use Sinatra as an example. Sinatra has hit rank 1. He was a pro player for Overwatch League. He's top of the leaderboards right now in Marvels, no surprise. Mechanically, he's very strong. He's got a lot of experience in these games. He's had coaches, professional coaches. He played for a salary. He's, you guys get the point. If we take somebody like Sinatra, don't piss me off, who is a GM1, we'll say he's a GM1 player, Masters 1 player, so that's a difference in 300 SR. The game knows, based on all the data it's collected, that Mercy player is actually a Masters 1 player. That the system knows, the hidden MMR knows that person does not belong in a GM1 game. So it assigns a hidden MMR value of a -3 to that person. It also knows that Sinatra is not truly a GM1 player because his stats are so good. He's actually a GM1 +3 hidden MMR player. So what the game does is it takes the -3 value of the Mercy player, who's getting boosted, and the +3 hidden MMR value of Sinatra, who is the booster, and it averages them together, which gives you a value of 0, which is the system's way of balancing the game because it knows that it's not truly a GM1 game. Does that make sense? That also exists in Marvel Rivals, okay?
So that's actually not terrible in the sense of then you're fighting a balanced team, but right, like that's on the outside, it's like, oh well, this team's balanced, it's not OP, like this should be a good game, which like you can definitely argue that it should be a good game, but really what it should be is it should be random, where like sometimes the other team's just better than you, sometimes they're just worse, and then sometimes it's a good game. I think that's what most people want, and that's what makes the most sense. It doesn't have to be like form-fitted, like, okay, you're winning this game, this is a close game, you're losing this game. Like, let there be some randomness, let them be some variation. I think that's what the core, average, most common feeling for a gamer is.
Okay, so the matchmaking system, PvP competitions usually involve 2 opposing teams in many sporting events and online games. In the context of esports and online games, players compete by controlling selected heroes, each of which is designed with different strengths and weaknesses. We already know this. While in traditional sports, in one sense, each player can be considered as one hero to fit into the op match system. Okay, so there's counterplay involved, right? The game actually knows if somebody plays a hero well, that is a direct counter to the hero that you play well. Okay, and I'll prove that.
That's pretty crazy. That's some in-depth shit right there.
That is somewhere here. I believe maybe right here. Okay, so opt match net. OptMatch.net, the model is to predict the utility of the match, defined as work like computed utility by predicting the utility of every player in the match one by one, okay? So what this is talking about is the -3/+3 system that I just discussed. You have an individual hidden MMR, you have a hidden skill rating that you cannot see, no one can see, based on all the data these AI systems have collected about you. It can tell when you're frustrated, it can tell when you're gonna quit, it can tell how aggressive, it can actually flag you as what's called an aggressive player. I don't know if this exists in Marvel Rivals, so I'm not going to give you guys bad information, but there are games that this system has actually increased and decreased hitboxes in real time in the game. So for any of you who have played a game in Marvels before where you absolutely destroy the enemy team on the first fight, and then you go to the next map and you have another fight, and then they're dumpstering you, I would not be surprised if that's an increase and a reduction in hitboxes and hit registry, or any kind of increased FPS or latency for the winning or losing team. That would not surprise me at this point, especially.
That would surprise me a little bit. That doesn't mean that it's not true or doesn't happen. I would be a little surprised if that was the case. They wanted to do that. It was that obvious, provable, that easy to do. That would surprise this one would surprise me a little, because that seems like pretty noticeable. And I don't know that I would go so far as to say as I've noticed that significantly. There are plenty of times where we like dominate the first round and then we lose the second. I'm like, wait, what the heck happened? I just feel like even if there was some slight latency, or if there was some slight latency, it wouldn't really change the game that much. The better players would still crush them. If you're talking about frames, or if you're talking about frames, same thing. If you're talking about hitbox, I feel like people would notice that. That one would surprise me.
Especially on console where aim assist is like heavily needed. On PC, again, I don't know if this is in the game or not, but it exists in games like Destiny 2, where you have something called bullet magnetism, which for PC players is kind of like a soft aim assist for controller players. If something like that existed, it could also adjust that. Funny enough, there was a supposed mouse acceleration that was built into the game that people figured out that didn't have an option to turn on or off, which they then later added an option to toggle that on and off. That also wouldn't surprise me if that had a lot to do with changing the accuracy of players mid-game to make an attempt to keep everybody engaged and satisfied and not quitting the game. That, again, this is speculation. I'm not saying this exists. I'm just saying don't be surprised if something like this was in the game.
Maybe I am the naive one now in this situation, but changing the mouse acceleration, sheesh. Maybe I'm just trying to be hopeful and pray that that's not in the game. Because if that's in the game or games like these, then yikes.
I think that pretty much covers everything. Again, I'm not going to read all this. You guys are more than welcome to if you want to. It talks about match quality, talks about a bunch of other stuff. This is used in League of Legends. This is used in Dota. This is used in NBA. It's speculated that the system is also used in Overwatch, Call of Duty, even Fortnite, Apex Legends. So this has been around for a while. This is not a new thing. It's something that for some reason gets censored and doesn't get talked about. Companies are not transparent about this, probably because it's predatory and ruins all actual competitive integrity in playing ranked. If they were to put this on a screen when you go to click ranked, and before you could queue for ranked, it said, by the way, we actually do everything in our power to try and predict the outcome of whether you win or lose or not, most people would probably be like, what? I'm not going to play. That's ridiculous. So that's probably a reason why they don't disclose that. But again, this is on their website. You can go look it up for yourself. So to close.
Yeah, I mean, we've played a good amount of ranked in our day. A lot of COD, Apex, Fortnite, etc., FIFA, those types of games. Jeez. I think there is truth to the matter of there just being problems inherently with rank where you need it to be fair. But I mean, even in COD with people farming lobbies, we've seen all this kind of crap. And I think that's just part of the danger of ranked play in general, which all the more reason to just get rid of this hidden MMR so people don't have to like circumvent all this stuff and just let it be standard. Don't mess with it.
Close this out. How do you combat this? There's three things that come to mind. One, you see a lot of pro players, streamers, YouTubers, high-rated players. You see a lot of them grouping up. Why is that important? Well, if the game is using an AI system to try and predict outcomes and taking hidden values of players individually, encounters, etc., one way you can mitigate that is by reducing the efficacy by 50%. Well, how would you do that? Well, it's a 6v6. If you form your own group of 6 teammates, you've therefore reduced the casino gambling rate of queuing for competitive by 50%. So you've taken your team into what's called a control group, and your adversaries, using their terminology, your opponents, is in a non-control group. So right there, you've reduced the gambling rate by just having a consistent team, okay? Another thing you can do...
Now, we saw that. Last night, we had a nice 4-stack for the entire session, basically, and we did pretty well because all 4 players were pretty solid. Today, we did 2, mainly 2, a little 3, and because we won so much, you could certainly argue that the system shocked us by giving us incredibly bad players today.
This is speculation. I've noticed that sometimes the queue times take longer than 10 seconds. Usually they're instant. If you're in Celestial, this probably doesn't apply to you, as there's not that many people in Celestial. It's hard for it to form a fair, quote-unquote, fair match. Sometimes those people wait 30 minutes to get into a game. But for everybody else, if you see it's taking a minute to form a match, more than 30 seconds, more than 10 seconds, cancel the matchmaking and re-queue. Because my speculation is, and again, I'm not an expert, my speculation is that it's trying to pull a bunch of data and predict outcomes, okay? Why it needs that much more time to form a game, that's the only conclusion I can come to. That's the only thing that makes sense.
I like that one. If your queue time is taking over 10 seconds, cancel the queue. It's trying to get too much data to put you in its cookie cutter match. Re-queue, wait a minute. I like that one.
Another thing you can do is play one specific server. So like play Northern Virginia, for example. That'll reduce the pool that they can pull from. Pick the server that you get the best performance and the best ping on. Opt out of every other server. So that narrows down the pool. I would say use a VPN, but I think a lot of gaming companies are banning people for using VPNs, because technically you could like VPN to Australia, where there's a lot less people for them to pull from. And that would basically kind of defeat the system too, although you'd get bad ping. This is the biggest thing. This is also speculation, but I've tested it and it seems to have worked. It could be placebo effect, but I've tested it over a course of 30 games. I showed you a picture of it in Paint earlier. The main goal of this system, this AI system, this EOMM matchmaking system, aside from getting you to spend money, the main system is to not make you quit. So if you lose a game in competitive, close the game. Immediately close the game. You lose a game in competitive, close the game, take an hour break, get on an alt account, play that if you want to keep playing, re-queue for competitive. I can almost guarantee you are going to go on a win streak. I can almost guarantee. That's pretty much it. That's all I have.
Yeah, I have heard that one before, and that one actually makes sense, and I think is true and would happen, and I could see it happening. So I do, for people that have flexible schedules and whatnot, I think that is probably accurate and probably worth testing for yourself. For me, someone that streams the game, that gets on and basically just runs it for multiple hours, it's not as applicable to me, and I probably won't do that. Sure, maybe I could do it once or twice over the course of a daily stream, but for me, not as applicable. But for some people that may, or if you're solo queuing, you got other stuff to do, you don't mind hopping in and out, why not try that out?
For you guys, if you guys want another resource you can use, you can actually use this. So this is Tracker Network. If you want to look somebody up. So I'm going to throw my buddy Arrow under the bus.
This is a good site. You can track helpful information like hero stats throughout different ranks. You can look up your friends, that sort of thing.
Sorry, Arrow. He only solo queues. He's going through it right now. He's at a 46% win rate. When I was going on a lose streak, I went from a 70% win rate, queuing solo only, to a 40% win rate, at which point I closed the game, stopped playing, came back, and then went on a massive win streak and went back to 51% win streak, or win percentage. Even people that group up in Grandmaster and Celestial, like Tim the Tapman, 51% win rate. Apply, 57% win rate. But funny enough, if you go to the rank 1 players, this is for PC, PlayStation Network, and Xbox, whoa, 83% win rate. TLDR, all of these guys understand these algorithms, and they are probably exceptional players and probably also forming full pre-mades. 75%. and 74%, so exceptionally high. You'll notice that most players bounce somewhere between, like, on average, a 48% win rate and a 58% win rate, being on the higher ends. In this game, you can actually climb to Grandmasters with a negative win rate of 48%. The reason for that is that you win more points than you do when you lose, and you also have a Chrono Shield. So kind of another faulty system where it's like everybody gets a participation trophy. You actually get rewarded for going negative, and you can achieve Grandmaster in doing so simply by just playing the game long enough.
We have noticed that, where I've been surprised how many people that are solid players have under a 50% win rate. And you also notice that those people are reasonably high ranked. So it's good and bad, right? The bad is that, well, maybe they got that high of a rank because they're not that good and they have a lower than 50% win rate, but they're still gaining.
Again, I stream on Twitch. All my socials are at Corvina. I'll try and put a link down below. Again, I'm not a YouTuber. I hope I made this video as quick as
I'm not a YouTuber.
possible. I hope I
am a YouTuber.
explained everything. And yeah, that's it. Leave a comment down below if you feel like it. Like the video if you feel like it. Honestly, doesn't matter to me. Subscribe if you want to. I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing YouTube more
Like this video, subscribe to me. It does matter to me.
frequently. This is like my second video ever. But I do appreciate you guys watching. I would love to hear some of your feedback. I would love to hear some of your experiences. And I would really strongly emphasize that you guys try and use some of the tactics that I've provided to you to try and break this AI system. I don't think they're going to change it unless enough people start talking about it, which I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if this video will get shadow banned. I don't know how many views it'll get. I don't know if it'll get censored. I don't know if it'll get taken down. But there you go. Good luck in your games. May the odds be ever in your predicted match outcome favor. And yeah, have a good night.
All right.
I'm trying something a little bit different.
All right.
Reception is what's
so
important.
that was good. Thanks for going through all that. I hope you guys enjoyed. So we did definitely learn some things. None of that was too shocking to me. Part of the reason why I wanted to make this video and watch that was because I kind of had this expectation or this awareness of what was going on. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. We have noticed that. I stream. If you want to check it out, twitch.tv/MacAssault, or just subscribe here on YouTube. Throw a comment in. What do you think? Do you notice this system? But yeah, pretty apparent, I would say, when you're playing. They want you to stay on the game. They want you to win. They want you to lose. They want you to keep playing. They want everyone to win and lose. Not too much, but not enough. It's just not the best thing ever, but what can you do? Mac Assault out. Coach Mac. We do a lot of content like this on the channel. We do it live. We do videos. We're currently in Grandmaster on Marvel Rivals. M and K sweating it out, having fun. Come through.